Welcome, podcast fans. It's time for the What's Up Bro podcast show, presented by J&J Production Studios, the home for all your entertainment needs. All kinds of great topics discussed every week, a variety of different themes offered, special guest appearances, prize giveaways, and so much more. Stay tuned. And now, here are your hosts, Sam Crow and Big Hoss.
Hello, welcome, good evening, everybody. Welcome to a great weekend. It is I, Sam Crow, here with Mr. Fire. How's it going, Mr. Fire?
It's going pretty good.
That's good. We are sans Big Hoss tonight. Big Hoss is out with Mom on a special occasion, so he sends his best regards. He will be here tomorrow night for Saturday's show. Hope you guys will tune into that, but fear not, we got some great entertainment for you all this evening. So glad you're tuning in with us. Hope you guys had a great week. Hope you're having an exciting start to your weekend. We hope that we can provide that entertainment for you guys. We always try to have something extra special when we do that, so hopefully tonight will be no different. Never usually is. We're definitely going to make the most of it and have a great time hanging out together. So we're going to start just a couple quick announcements to get things rolling. As always, you can check us out. Look it up on our link tree. It has all of the studio accounts, all of our social medias, all of the podcast streaming services where you can find the show. You can download and keep your favorite episodes, all that great stuff on your favorite devices. Take us anywhere and everywhere you go. Also, some exciting news, too, is we're still waiting on word for the website, which we're hoping to launch later this year. So that's still out there. Also, if you missed any recent episodes, I did do a new episode of our newer show, The Law and Justice Show. If you want to check that out, that episode is up and running. We start our exciting topic with the U.S. Constitution. You can check that out. We're going to continue on that series. If you missed that, find that. It was awesome. Can't wait to do the next show there. We do have some new artwork for our podcast. If you haven't noticed, for the show's little entryway and entrances there, we have our little cover arts. Have some new designs up for a couple of the other shows that we have, including the Game Corner, which we need to get another episode going of that soon. Always a lot of fun. Have shared those on our social medias. You can check those out. The work was fantastically done. Can't thank Fiverr enough. A lot of great creators there. We've been using that to help boost the show and create a lot of great exciting things for you guys listening to us. We have some more projects in mind we want to do down the road, but these are just a few examples of what we have going. We hope you guys will enjoy them. Absolutely love them. Could not be more thrilled. So check it out. It is posted and available. You can also look it up on our account there. It is the new posting for the show cover arts for each individual show. Very exciting, very awesome. Also a reminder, if you missed it a couple weeks back earlier at the beginning of this month, we had a very special celebrity guest, Miranda Maverick, UFC fighter. If you missed that episode, it is up on our studio accounts. Check it out. It's fantastic. It was a great interview. We can't wait to have Miranda back on the show. We've been tweeting and retweeting and sharing things that she's been having going on there, trying to help promote her. Check out her website, fearthemaverick.com, if you want to buy some authentic merchandise, different autographed merchandise, from boxing gloves to outfits, all kinds of neat stuff. If you want to help support her, that's the best way to do it. Check that out. We have the link posted up there everywhere. We want to share that as well. Also, a good shout out. We hope to hear back from our good buddy Mr. J, one of our producers of the show, and in his own show, Ragnarok Inc. Radio, the Sanitarium channel. Check it out. Stay tuned for great content. Always a great kick-ass show that they have there. We can't wait to see what they produce coming up next. I know he's got a lot of stuff going on with the family, hasn't had a lot of time to devote to creating new content, but they will be back, so fear not, that is coming. So definitely check that out, stay tuned for more, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be awesome, they always and never disappoint, so hope you guys will look forward to more of that coming up as well. I think as far as that goes, that's all the announcements we have for you guys, so we're going to jump into the show, we'll get started a little bit here, and then we're going to take a little bit break shortly just to kind of break up the night there, but so tonight, I thought maybe we would talk a little bit about, and I know I don't want to be a downer and bring things down a little bit, but I thought we want to talk about some of the things that we have to deal with, we do in life, and I say that more so specifically if you're an adult, or at least, you know, most of us are, and are, well, I think Fire is the only one here that's actually in his early 20s there. I'm not there anymore. But if you're at least you're an adult, you know, a lot of the things that we have to deal with, whether, we talked a little about this before, but finding a balanced life of school and work and family and all those kind of things that go into it. Just kind of talk a little bit about that. Some of the struggles that are out there, from finding the right job to keeping that job to paying bills to I don't know, you name it, it's out there, right? And this is, again, not necessarily to be bringing the show down. I think this is important that we talk about it. You know, maybe we'll share some experiences that might help you guys listening. And this is really critically important for those of you who are coming of age, as it were. So if you're coming out of high school, 18, 19 years old, you're just starting on that cusp, pay very close attention tonight. This could be very beneficial for you guys. Male or female alike, doesn't matter. It goes all into same play, same practice. Talking about some things I can share and Fire can share if he wants to, some personal experiences, learns, the do's and don'ts, that kind of thing. Just to kind of help, it's a tough world out there. We know that things are just, it's incredibly expensive for living. We know that if you live in the United States like we do, it's hard. But again, it's hard everywhere. But, just trying to make it from day to day. And a lot of families struggle, just to find ways to make it, especially larger families. If you have a family of 4 or 5 or 6 kids, that sort of thing can be very stressful, trying to figure out how to make it work, how to feed everybody, clothe everybody. But even as single people, individual people, it can be just as difficult, and that's something that we want to share that, we thought or we think that may be helpful for you guys. So we're going to talk about some of those type of stuff tonight. Because it's more of a potpourri night, we might actually play another game towards the latter part of the evening just to kind of break it up. As I mentioned a little bit ago, I do want to help get us another episode of the Game Corner. It's always a lot of fun. We're going to see if we can get one of those rolling again soon too, just because we always have a great time doing that. So that's going to be kind of our topic for focus for this evening. Hopefully you guys are tuning in. If you're listening to us live, thank you so much. We always love and appreciate you all. But if you're here listening as the episode later on, whatever point you can do it, perfectly okay. It's just for everybody. Whatever is your pleasure, your cup of tea, whatever you find the time and can relax. That's the biggest thing, is we want it to be a relaxing time and a good way to start your weekend off. So even though we're talking about something a little bit deeper tonight in some regard, we're still going to try to keep it as light as possible for you guys. We don't want to be downing anybody and make anybody feel bad. So it's just more of some things that maybe will help inspire you, I guess, in the manner of speaking. Kind of like what Miranda talked about when she was here. We got a lot of great questions answered and a lot of great information that she shared when she was here. You guys heard her say it too. We asked her about the balance. How do you balance work life, home life, married life, school life? All the things that she's got quite a lot of stuff going on. How do you do that? How do you maintain such an active and busy lifestyle? And as you heard her say too, it's never easy all the time because she's had to learn to budget things, and she's had to sacrifice in some areas. And as you recall, if you listen to the episode, she said she's even recently trying to find time to help grow her relationship. So all these kind of struggles are real, and a lot of you probably can relate to that. And we're hoping that this will kind of help you guys out. So let's pose a couple questions here. I guess let's ponder about a couple things. So let's throw this to Fire. We'll give him a shot here because usually we don't get to him right away. So we're gonna kind of put this out now. So remind us again, Fire. How old are you?
21.
Okay, so you're pretty much fresh off you're right at that ripe age of manhoodism, as I like to call it. So, I mean, not that you haven't been a man, but you're at that coming of age, 21. That's like the training wheels come off. You're now reaching that plateau of adulthood there. Obviously you're not teenage anymore. So what are some things you've learned, especially coming of age there, that you've noticed part of the growing up process, if you want to call it that? What are some experiences that you found in your life so far that you think might benefit?
It's a lot more rough. There's a lot of crazy people, depending where you are. There's a lot of crime activity.
Truth. That is very true. Now, are you
around when it comes to certain things?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you mess up, it can also have a big drawback later on.
Yeah, that's a huge one. I've said that, and I shared this previously too. Just from experience, where when I worked in a job I had before, where I had to do security for the retail store I was at there. I often would share with a lot of younger people, especially younger guys that I came across. There's a point where it's not really cute anymore when you get yourself in a position that you make some mistakes there. It's fun to come back to, and things happen. What are you doing? I'm on the air here live. Hello. Miss Eliza popping in here. She's saying hello to everybody. It's okay. There comes a point where everybody makes mistakes. We know that, but sometimes when you do that, especially, and this is a topic we'll probably cover in the Justice Show, that when you do that, especially could be potentially illegal or things of that nature, it's not cute after a while, and that's part of you get the grown-up responsibility of what can happen if you follow that kind of trait. And it's interesting you bring up that topic, a lot of crazy people. Now, I find...
So wait, you're saying as you get older, it just doesn't become cute anymore?
If you're going to backseat, you need to be on the show, so unless you're going to be on the show...
That's quite interesting. You tell people that?
Goodbye!
Yeah.
Backseat driving here. She won't be on the front camera on the microphone, but she likes the backseat drive.
Peanut gallery.
Exactly. Yeah, peanut. No comments from the peanut gallery unless you're gonna pull up. But it really goes to show, like, the craziest of people. It doesn't matter where you are anymore. Honestly, I think. Now, I will say this: I'm in a more remote area that's smaller. But even being in that case, I don't live near any major... Well, I'm close to a couple major cities, but not in one specifically. There's still crazy people where I'm at there, too. It's really, like, such a common trait anymore. You can't even walk to, like, your nearest gas station or a little quickie store without finding... Like, I'll give you an example. Oh. The one that's down the street from where I'm at gets robbed probably once every 3 months, at least. So...
Funny you say that, because I'm at work... Down the street, there's a Quickie Mart that either gets shot up, there's a fight that's happening outside of it, or he gets robbed every other day of the week.
And it's so common, like, it doesn't make you flinch anymore, right? Because you're just so used to hearing, like, that's what happens. And it's sad that we have a society that now, that shouldn't be a normal thing, but it just is. I mean, we talk about gun control and a drug problem. These are things that have been going on for decades that... I always say this because it's not to say that we shouldn't obey laws that are there, but it's pretty common sense logic. Criminals don't obey laws. That's pretty evident there. So you can have as many laws as you... it makes things a little more difficult in some areas, but it shouldn't be surprising. Like, I say this, which is a sad example, but like school shootings, that's become such a big thing lately that I don't, number one, bother to read the news because it's always bad news anyway, but that's pretty much all you see. Shootings or stabbings or... theft or robberies, whatever it is. Like, it's so prevalent now. It wasn't that way growing up. I can never remember a time when that was just a constant daily news reminder, like, all the time. And that's really all that you see anymore, which, societies change. We know that, as I said, things are tougher, so desperate times call for desperate measures, and some people are just that desperate, but... you don't really appreciate or understand somebody's situation if you don't look at it from the bigger picture or I always look at it saying to people, not everybody's rationally sound, but sometimes you find people and say, what's the motivation for why it's a life of crime or, not like I could say, I know people that, are on welfare that don't work and they're able-bodied to work, but they choose not to. Like, what's the reasons? Like, you wonder sometimes. But these are lessons that we learn as you get older. Now, if you are a younger listener there, especially if you're under the age of 18, you might see these types of things in your school, in your neighborhood. Maybe not to the extent as you would as most adults would do, but it really is a prevalent thing that we see just about everywhere anymore. And the question I hear a lot is, where is there really a safe place anymore? You really can't say, like... I know a lot of areas in small towns that, like the Mayberry types, that nothing. Like, I grew up in a small town where like nothing ever happens. Like the most exciting thing that would happen in town was if a medevac chopper was landing in the local baseball field, the whole town came out to watch it. Like, that was like the entertainment for the night.
You just said your own answer. Small towns.
Exactly. So you would think, like, well, since it's small town, crime rates can't be high, and normally they're not. But the other problem is you get a lot of drifters, especially when you're near, like, the major highways. People come from out of state, out of town, it's not very often, but there's been issues recently that, we've had to deal with that had never been a thing before. So it just, again, you see the growing trend of how our society changes, and it's almost like there's really no corner of the area that's really safe anymore. Like, what is safe? You can't even define that at this point, so... as I put it this way, you think about this, and like I talked to my grandparents, we joke about you go back to the 1950s, and back then It was not uncommon. People would leave their doors unlocked. They leave their cars unlocked. You could do that, be perfectly fine. Nowadays, you have to bolt down everything. Cars have to be locked. House has to be locked in every single fashion. Like, you can't even risk leaving anything open anymore because you just don't know. You know, you see a lot of break-ins. You see a lot of home invasions. You see a lot of, you know, burglaries, things like that. And in some areas, you don't even expect it. Like, that's really, you know, I shouldn't say it's a shocker, but, you know, over the course of time, that has changed. So these are all sort of things that you witness. Now, when you go to work, and a lot of you guys old enough and are working, that's another prime example of putting you out there in a position where you see these people, excuse me, or people in a similar vein in close personal contact. Now, I said for me, for example, when I worked the job, I worked in retail. Initially, and usually most notably, I didn't deal with people so much up front. I had the prospect of observing people. That was part of my job, you know, 8-hour day, 9-hour day. I only had to interact with people if it was absolutely necessary. So it wasn't super frequent or constant, but I will say the times that I had to do it, and I don't know about for you, if you notice this, if you ever worked like a graveyard, like a late night shift, that's always seems like when the weirdos tend to come out, right? So
sometimes. It depends on the day.
Exactly, that's the other thing. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's a rule of thumb, if it's just a thing, but it's just like, I don't know, it's almost like this code of regulation where people are just showing up out of the woodwork that you would least expect. And I can tell you, like, as an example, I'd work a night shift. It'd be a Monday night, slow as fuck kind of night, you know, there's really nothing going on, and you're just kind of sitting there, like, waiting for the clock to run out. But on occasion, you'll find very interesting people that come out late at night. And it's really amazing when you interact with these people. It's like, these are, I call them like the night walkers there. You don't see these kind of day dwellers. They're not the normal traffic that you would see like in a retail setting like I saw. But these are people that you always think about, hear about. You never imagine you'll see them live and in person, but there they are, right? And I could tell you like countless times where, you know, again, not always me personally, but others that I knew that worked alongside or with that had interactions with some of the most interesting people. So, I mean, it became such a regular thing that I always told myself, especially on nights, I'm like, okay, I have to work a night shift, so I'm going to expect the unexpected because it's always that bewitching hour, something's going to happen. So, which, you know, like, just as an example, again, I remember this, I'll never forget. I had one holiday season I worked, it was Thanksgiving, worked a well past midnight shift. And it's one of those, you know, you had a long night, nothing's happening, you're tired, you're, you know, bored as you know what. And it's finally time to go home. And you want to close up. Now, my job was I had to be the last one out, so I had to close down the entire store. So that meant I had to wait for all the other employees to leave. I had to make sure to clear everything before alarms were set so that I didn't have to come back out and talk to the police for a false alarm that was tripped, which, by the way, did happen. So a funny story. We'll get to that one later. But it was kind of like, you know, I'm done for the night. I'm tired. I've been drinking coffee just to stay awake. I just want to go home. And received the call. People were calling saying, yeah, there's a couple shoppers down in this area. So we'll try to convince them to find their way out to the nearest exit. They should be able to, you know, to leave fairly quickly. So I had to wander down because somebody called and said there's a gentleman shopping that's in the one dressing room, you know, taking a bunch of clothes, trying them on. And of course you have to start this like 5 minutes before closing time. So I went down. Fortunately, one of the HR assistants was on, so I didn't have to confront the guy myself, but I was just there for backup. But she talked to him, and literally the guy said, you know, he came in and she's like, you know, we're going to be closing in 5 minutes. You're welcome to come back. The store's going to open several hours later. You know, it's time to close. Our holiday hours are over. Everybody's going home. And he literally was like, I'm going to stay here and try close on. And I'm like, you just walked in the door. We can't help it that you come in 5 minutes before the store closes. So, you know, trying to explain that, and he got upset about it. So fortunately, we were able to convince him to leave because the bottom line was you can leave on your own recognizance, or I can call the police and have you escorted out. So your choice. But it's those type of interesting people that you deal with. Like, do you have anybody, now Fryer, for you, have you ever had anybody you've had to interact with work-wise that was really strange that you had to deal with personally in your job?
Oh, so many times. We've called the cops so many times and never showed up.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
Now, how...
threatening us, yelling at us, saying go come back and shoot up a store.
Wow,
Never showed up. The cops never showed up. Like,
jeez.
Sometimes in, like, Tulsa, cops just don't.
They just don't.
It's like an urgent matter. People getting shot, they don't show up.
They actually have to get shot. They can't just, like, shoot and miss. They have to be shot in order for them to come... So
like they drew a gun and people are in danger. Yeah.
Or you could call and be like, listen, it was just me. I'm okay, but they shot up. There's bullet holes all over the building. Yeah, we don't care. As long as you're not shot, we're not coming out. So
it was there's just so many.
It's incredible though. Like, and these are things like, and now you probably have gotten numb to it because if it happens frequently enough, like you just kind of expect it, right? You're kind of used to it. Like it doesn't shock you.
Oh yeah.
You know, and. Now, again, I've had people tell me that, I'm going to come back, I'm going to look you up and find you. Yeah, you come back and find me anytime you want. That's fine by me, I said. But, like I said, it's not going to end well for you if you do that. So, but, hey, you want to run that risk, fine by, I'm perfectly okay with it. And the funny thing is, too, is not even so much male people, but, like, females, too, can be, like, just as bad, if not worse in some cases where, like, argue. Like, I've had constant times they'll call and say, like, I think there's one time this lady was coming in. She came in last minute. Again, the store was going to close, and she's like, I just want to come in and return these couple items. Where she had about, same thing was told. Listen, ma'am, we're closing up. The registers are down. We can't help you. Can you come back? You can come back tomorrow. We'll be here. One more day is not. It has to be today. It's got to be now. I got to do this. You have to keep open for me. Can't do that. Like. Again, not willing to want to work with you. So, like, you see difficult people. Now, another point bringing it up, and for you guys, too, important to understand as well. Now, part of the job I experienced was I had to not only help out with customers, I also had to keep an eye on employees because a lot of times other employees, like sales team members, cashiers, stock people, a lot of times will deal first and foremost with customers on the floor. Now, some employees knew how to handle it well, others don't. And I can think of some instances, which I won't be too specific, but I've had instances where I've had to break up potential argument and fights over, simple things. And I remember one coworker, I did that, and I said to him, I pulled him aside, I said, I'm not saying you're wrong. However, the issue we're having is that you become in the wrong because you're the one causing the scene. And it's every right for you to be upset, but you're not handling it the right way to where now the other complaints are coming saying they're only looking at you making this scene because you're blowing up, not because of why you're blowing up over this customer who said something or did something to you. So, like, you kind of have to, pick your battles there. And I always said, listen, if you need to do it, and I called the MOD, the manager on duty at night, and I said, he's hot under the collar. What do you want to do? He said, we'll send him home for the night. I told him, just go home, because this is going to only get worse for you. So just go home. Don't think about it. Come back to work a different time. Don't stress about all this stuff. Like, you really have to be careful. And I've seen situations where people will purposely try to provoke confrontation like that, which it's kind of a ballsy type of thing, and it's pretty cocky for some people doing that, especially over little things. That's the thing that's worse. You have a small problem, they're trying to nitpick. And they're trying to purposely cause a fight for whatever reason. Whether that's arguing, I had an item and it's supposed to be on sale and it's not on sale, and why are you telling me it's ringing up?
Oh, bro. At a grocery store, people come up that was small, but, it's an item that was, like, slightly pushed over.
Uh-huh.
What's this price,
Yep.
Well, we gonna have to go price check, and they complain. It's like, you want to go put this back? Like, yeah, I want it.
That's fun, too, especially when they're in the checkout line. It's like, you get through all these items, and it's like, I don't want that one. All right, we'll put it back. Or, I thought it was...
Nah, the worst one So this person grabbed, I think it was like 3 baskets worth of stuff.
Wow.
Frozen meat, almost anything in the grocery store. Like, oh, man, and then they just got it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was food stamps at the time. And had nothing on their card, or they forgot their card. So we had to go take all that back.
Jeez.
And I'm like, really? Come on, y'all need to just call in y'all's cards to make sure y'all have stuff on it before you come into the store.
Well,
and get like a whole bunch of stuff and have to take it off.
Well, that's like another favor I heard where I remember one time, I think it was Walmart, I was there, and I was purchasing some things, and the person ahead of me was buying stuff, and said to the cashier said, what's your method of payment? Well, I do have I think it was my debit card, but I also have, I believe they were cashier's checks, I'm not sure, some kind of like program that they had for that. Now, the cashier was nice and said, we can't verify that payment. We can't accept those checks here. You have to go to customer service to get them, like, validated. We can't take them. Guy must have stood there for, like, 5 minutes, like, not, like, angrily arguing, but question, why can't you take it? The checks are there. It's our policy. You have to go to customer service to get them validated. We cannot honor them at the cash register here, that sort of thing. So it's like, okay. And then, of course, people don't want to hear that, so they're going off. Just like another time, I got there, I had one item I was looking for. There's a lady ahead of me, and it's almost like it was like the 10 items or less checkout. She had all these pencils and school supplies, and she's like, I teach Sunday school, and I'm buying all these materials and everything. And must have spent they were low dollar items, but had like close to 100 items there. And I'm like, really? And then she's like, how much can you price check each one to make sure? Like, is this one really that much, and is this one? I'm like, you didn't look at this before you grab these items? I can understand a few of them maybe, but how do you not, like, check that before you and again, whole big cart, like, just glopping stuff on the conveyor belt there, like, putting all this stuff, and I'm sitting here going, yeah, I don't need this that much. Like, I'll be here for an hour. And then, because right in the middle of it, I got a price check. I got to call the manager down. I'm not sure what this price is. I'm like, yep, I'm getting out of line. We're going to be here forever. She's going to hold up the whole store just to get these items. So it's really funny when you have, like, people that do that. And then another thing that we had, at least around where I was at one time, I don't know if they had it out far down where you are down there, a lot of the stores started a policy, I think Walmart was a big one too, of having an employee stand by the entrance checking receipts as customers were leaving.
Yeah.
Yep, so they did that for a while, and the thing that's funny about that is some people were receptive to it and would do it, but several times people are just so nasty about, you're not checking my receipt and blah, blah, blah. I remember one time, like, and I said this, if I didn't have my hands full, I probably would have intervened, but I didn't. There was a lady at the Walmart, older lady, because that's almost like the Walmart greeter. They're usually older, person working that. She had a gentleman that was leaving the store, and she politely said, sir, I need to check your receipt before you exit the store. It's just my job. It's the state requirement right now. Oh, well, you don't have to do that, and I'm going to leave. Like, she's like, no, I really need to check it. You have quite a few items, and I need to see the receipt. So this went on for a few seconds, and he just got totally nasty and belligerent, would not have anything to do with it. And I'm like, if I was a few inches closer, I would have grabbed him and yanked him back and said, excuse me, but she asked you politely, and you're being a complete jackass right now about it. All you have to do is show the receipt. How hard is that? And then you walk out the door. I do it all the time. I used to walk out of the store, be like, not even get towards the door. I'm holding the receipt in my hand. You want to see it? Here you go. No, you're good. You're fine. Okay. It's here, though, if you want to check. She's like, well, you have a couple items. Sure. Here's receipts there on the bag or whatever, How hard is that? You have to make a federal case about it, but apparently I guess some people do. So, and again, if any of you guys work there, if you work retail, even restaurant game, I've seen that at restaurants too. Like, I feel bad for anybody if you're a waiter or a waitress there. You get some of the stuff you have to go through. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And for what? Like, does it really make that much of a difference there? Is it really going to make you feel better?
Over some wings?
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's like, or, I didn't order that, or I ordered that without that. So, I can get it replaced.
I specifically said no peanut oil.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's like, I didn't want extra.
No, the thing is, they're not even allergic to it.
Right. They just don't want it. It's crazy. And then I've seen people like, I didn't want mushrooms on it. There's like one little tiny mushroom, and I'm not eating it. Well, just scrape it off to the side. It's one little itty bitty, it's touching, I can't eat it. Really? Like, I want it sent back, and I want it redone, or I want it fresh, I want what? Okay, well, if you're going to go that far with it, I mean, come on. But some people, they just do that, right? That's just, it's always amazing. You can learn a lot of life lessons just going out your door and just spending time anywhere where there's a general population. You can see all kinds of neat stuff. Like, it's really unbelievable. And, you know, you guys may have seen a lot of this stuff, depending on what you do, where your walk is in life there, what you're working on. Whether it's, again, at work, at school, in your local neighborhood, even at the local mall if you go shopping. I've seen cases where I go shopping at the local mall even, and you can find a lot of interesting things. It's almost like no matter where you go, always something exciting tends to happen, right? So it's incredible, and really, again, it doesn't matter where you are. It's just one of those, you always find something that is coming out of the woodwork there. It's just absolutely, absolutely incredible. Cannot believe it, really. Sometimes you just could be amazed, right? And if you haven't gotten that far, trust me, you will get there soon. Don't worry about that. So we're going to take a pause here, you guys. We're going to get some music tracks going for you all. Again, just to give you a chance to take a break. If you need a restroom break or you want your snack, get your favorite snack out now. Get yourself comfortable. Kick back and relax. We're going to come back for some more. We're going to talk more about these kind of things, share some more experiences there. Hopefully this will help you guys, give you some more information that might be beneficial. As again, I always like to say, I've learned a lot so far. I'll have to share what I can, but hopefully it'll be something that everybody can take. You can always take something there, right? There's always a chance to learn. You never stop learning until you die, as I like to say too. I know that sounds morbid sometimes, but it is true. I find that in a lot of cases. So come on back for more. You don't want to miss out on that. A lot of great stuff coming up here, as always. Great way to kick off the weekend. We're so glad to be here with you guys. Hope you had a great week. Hope this is a great way to start off your weekend, whether you're partying, whatever you're doing, staying home, relaxing, kicking back, whatever it is you're doing, put us on there. We're going to entertain you while you do it. Enjoy these tracks. We'll be right back shortly with more of the What's Up Bro podcast show, brought to you by the one and only J&J Production Studios, your true home for entertainment. We'll see you in a minute. Don't go away. Come on back.
Soundstripe. 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 Hey audio fans, are you looking for fun and excitement? Have you been searching for that special show? You know, the one complete package you want in a podcast? Then check out the What's Up Bro podcast show and experience what true entertainment is all about. Stay tuned and don't miss the action. Available on your favorite streaming services, including YouTube. Thank you for all your support. And as always, we'll see you at the show.
We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned.
Soundstripe. 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 Soundstripe.
Alright, welcome back everybody. Thanks for chilling out there. Hope you guys had plenty of time to get yourselves situated, but we're so glad that you are back. If you're just tuning in, thank you for listening. Glad you're here. Again, you missed a little bit of the show, but not much, so you can always catch up with that later on. These episodes will be up and available for you guys anywhere and everywhere you can find them. We are spreading out, growing out, reaching out, so don't be afraid about that. You can pick it up just about anywhere that you please. So we're kind of sharing some life experiences here. We've been talking about this in the first half of the show. Some great things came out, actually. Learned a lot of great stuff, and, you know, we kind of looked into our own personal backgrounds there, kind of sharing some experiences, because we're both coming at different points of view for that one, so, which is always good for a little bit of diverse action there to kind of mix it up a little bit. So it's really, I find, like I said, myself, you know, looking at it and in the past, saying I wish I had that kind of, and I did actually, I guess to say, to be fair, in some regard, have that sort of words of wisdom, insight. But it's always nice to kind of really get close personal experiences from someone that's been through it and has gone and done it. So it's kind of what we were talking about here. So I think a lot of things you could look at and take of, and I want to touch on this because we said this in the beginning towards the show too. You're coming into that. A lot of you maybe are coming into that point of life where you're just starting out into the young adulthood. You're coming out of high school, not sure where you're going to go. College might be an option for you. You're not sure. It's not for everybody, but if you have an opportunity and maybe you've given it a lot of thought. I've seen diverse groups of kids do this, have a plan, know what they want to do, go for it right away. Others take some time off to think about it. Others still saying it's not for me. That comes into personal preference. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own likes and dislikes and choose what they want to do. So that's really up to you guys as far as what you choose to follow or pursue. And if you have a plan for that, good. And as I've said this, that's a good point. Make sure at least you have a plan there. Don't jump in blindly. Don't get yourself in any extra debt. There's enough problems with debt going around the world, so you don't need to pile on anything extra there. So just make sure at least you give it a lot of thought. I know it's hard. Sometimes a lot of kids, going through school, whether it's first or second year, will switch majors in between, find something different. It does happen. It's not uncommon. But, at least try to figure out some idea so you kind of don't get yourself stuck. You don't want to find yourself caught in a corner where you take that shovel and you dig yourself in deeper and deeper. You don't want to be caught up with a situation that could be detrimental for you in a lot of different ways. So always have that plan there. Nothing's ever going to go perfectly well, and I'm sure Fire can agree too. I'm sure you've had instances,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's just a common trait. Nothing ever goes according to plan. They always have some ideas, but
If it does, count your stars.
Yep, pretty much. I couldn't say it better myself. That's pretty much the way I look at it too, because it rarely does happen that way. So, and I don't want to say it this way, but I always equate this to always go into things expecting to fail. Now, that sounds really strange, right? And a lot of people look at me saying, what kind of guidance counselor would you be? That's not a way to tell people. Well, no, you got to look into it a little bit deeper. Not saying you're going to, but don't get your hopes too high and don't set yourself up for a complete fall for that. No matter what you're choosing to do, whether it's trying for a new job, trying for a college course you're taking to get through that and to have a good grade, whatever the situation is. And why I say that is, and again, this is from my experience. It doesn't mean it applies to all of you, but this is just what I found. It takes the pressure off if you expect to fail, you tell yourself, doesn't mean you shouldn't try, but you don't get yourself too worked up and say, I'm so stressed about this. And again, which one of us has not been stressed out by a class or anything? Been there. So, it kind of helps take the ease off a little bit, so you're not fully stressed about it. It's very easy to get caught up in that race. At the same time, the expectation is also there where you say, okay, I realize that this is tough, this is difficult, it might not go really well. So it kind of gives you some idea of a realization of realism that this is potentially what you're facing here. Now, the end result can be much better, and I don't say this to be down on anybody either. And don't take it to the extreme. You have to find a nice balance where you're not just throwing yourself off the cliff going, oh my gosh, why did I even try? I'm going to fail, blah, blah. No. Go in with that expectation of not so much that thought process, but understanding of not expecting to pass full grade. Because I found in myself, when I do that, I actually do so much better than I thought I would do, whether that's a corporate class I'm taking or anything else I'm trying to accomplish. It just seems to kind of iron itself out that way. And that's what I found works. Now, try it. It might or may not work for you. And make it your own. You can go as little or as extreme with it as you want. Just find something that fits you, each of you, independently and individually, because we're all different. Again, I can't say that. There's diversity amongst all of us. So you have to find your niche and what works for you. But that's sort of giving you the example of how to approach it. And take that little bit of tidbit of advice there and just sprinkle it everywhere. Again, no matter what you're doing. Maybe you have multiple things going, but utilize that. You don't stress yourself out. You're more relaxed. You're more confident. You're in that, as weird as it sounds, you're in that sort of mind frame where you are confident and yet you're not. Meaning, you kind of have like the relaxation of knowing that you can go into it with a clear mind, and I'm not overly stressed, and I'm not risking missing anything or making any extra errors or mistakes or whatever that is. This can really apply, and I say this because I've been there. If you have a high, what's the word I'm looking for? Not high risk, high stress job, and a lot of people do. It's just common just about anywhere. Those type of situations, especially, you want to be as clear-minded as you possibly can, because a lot of bad things can happen in a short amount of time. A lot of mistakes can happen. It's just inevitable in some cases. So if you kind of have yourself pre-prepped and knowing that in advance, you will find that might actually be of great benefit to you, that you work through that. So that's a perfect way to illustrate that if I'm going to use that example, and I did. So there you go. And again, you try it, it might not work for you. It might not work for anybody, but it's just an idea. Now, if you don't take it quite to that extent, find something that does work for you, because you guys know yourselves best. We all do. We all know ourselves. We know our strengths and weaknesses, what we can accomplish, we do accomplish, all that sort of stuff. That all plays a major factor there. So, find what works for you, find what's best for you, ultimately, and really, I set the bar high to a point, but you set realistic expectations. We talked about that earlier when we did our New Year's episodes back in January. It's important not to limit yourself, and you can have those long-term goals and plans there, but have something more attainable ahead of time, at least to kind of build that foundation. I think that's very, very important. So, now, Phil Fryer, in your case, now, I don't know if you would do the same thing, or are those kind of similar things you would do, or how do you tend to, I don't want to say motivate yourself, but kind of getting you try to set yourself up there, and, at least you don't want to set yourself up for disappointment. So are there any kind of tips and tricks that you use for yourself, whether that's school, work, whatever?
I try to at least improve, even if it's the smallest margin.
Mm-hmm.
Improve what I'm doing.
Right. Yep.
Smallest margin every day.
Yeah.
Even if it's not by much, try to prove it.
Yep.
Vain.
Yep.
That's really.
It's an attainable reach. You have smaller steps. You don't try to go too big too quick. You're just trying to
think about the long term. You think about what's in front of you at that current time.
Yep.
Take the smallest inch steps at a time.
Yep.
For that long term goal.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. That's the best way to approach that. Because again, if you don't take the deep leap, and again, the situations can vary, and sometimes taking a risk and taking a leap like that can be risk and reward at the same time. And sometimes they do pay off. Not always, often, but there's always that potential. But really, I don't want to say it's the safe approach, but when you build off of that and you take those smaller steps, you are, as Fire said, you're taking that little bit inch by inch. You're kind of sort of moving the train along that track, so you're still moving in the right direction. You're not risking going backwards too far. Now, there's the old adage that says take one step forward and 3 steps back. So you have to kind of work with that too. But at least you're setting yourself up in a good position to where, progress is being made, no matter how great, no matter how small, right? So that's just very important and a very big notion for that. I think that's very key. So that's another great tip you can use that too. And it's doing the best that you can, really, and honest and truthfully, putting your best effort forward. It's going to be frustrating. It's going to be difficult. You're going to want to quit sometimes, no matter what you're doing. And you might not always have people in your corner to back you up and support you. And we talked about that, especially, I remember Miranda said too, if you guys heard that episode, if you didn't, go back and listen to it. A lot of great words of wisdom that she shared. Her fighting career, trying to make something happen there, she wants to rise to the top of the UFC fight world there. And she said how much of a benefit it really is having her family to support her. Obviously there's always concerns, and it's a risky type of ordeal to undertake, but she's like, at least they're not trying to convince me not to do it. They've been very supportive, it's my dream that I'm going for. I want to do that. They've been backing me up 100% there. That's really important. But not everybody gets that. So you might have people out on the adverse side of that saying you can't do that, or being negative, or trying to crush you and bring you down, saying it's just not going to happen. Why waste your time? I've heard a lot of those naysayers and doubters too, believe me. I've tried my best to learn to ignore them. But those voices are out there, so you really do have to concentrate. And if you are determined, again, no matter what you choose and what you're working on, you just really have to put your best foot forward, and you just have to tune out the noise. Work towards your goals and roll with it and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I don't care how long it takes me to get there. I'm going to work at it. I'm going to make it, and so on and so forth. Basic idea principles that you can go with that. That's really what's key there. So take that and roll with that. Make the most of that. That's really important. I think that's key. So use those, again, as motivational tools for you guys, because it doesn't seem like much, but they really can have a big impact, especially if you're finding yourself at a difficult point in life right now where maybe you're at that crossroad. I'm in a career change, taking a risk finding a new job. Maybe I'm starting my own business. I've had that solid job for years now, and the solid insurance and the benefits and the stable work, but I've not been happy, and I want to branch out, and I want to try something else on my own. That could be one example. There's all kinds of things. Maybe, as I said too before, as part of our New Year's talk too, maybe you're looking at changing things up, moving to a new city, relocating. Maybe nothing short of not getting a new job, just trying something new. That's an option. That's always a scary option. You just don't know. I've heard friends say that before. There's all kinds of things that are huge steps. Moving across the country or anywhere across from your normal home is one. Whatever that case, maybe it's a new relationship. Maybe you're getting married. Maybe, I don't know. The list can go on. But getting the idea of these are things that when you stop and look at them and you say, okay, this is really what I want to go for. And it might seem scary at first, but as you jump in and really begin to explore those options and see how it unfolds, you might find that it really was worth the risk trying for that. And again, there's no ever guarantee of success. That's an old adage, but it really is true. So you can't bank on that entirely, but that shouldn't discourage you from trying. I think that's the biggest and most important thing that we really want to hammer home for that too. So don't be discouraged. Go for it. Be confident, and especially another big key thing there is if you're young enough, you have a chance to bounce back. By all means, go for it, because the worst that can happen is nothing changes, and you're just sort of you gotta have to start from square one. But at least you're not too far forward where you lose out a lot of options there. So definitely try that. Go for that, and again, you never know what might happen until you try it. So great advice, great words of tip there for you guys. I think it's very helpful. For sure. Hopefully this will be inspiring for you guys no matter what your walk of life you're at. Go for it, reach out, reach for the stars, stretch for it, and let that be your guide to whatever success futures you have down the road. And as we said a little bit ago too, best laid plans don't always go that way. Maybe you're striving to achieve something that might lead you to something even better, something else that you can accomplish. All kinds of possibilities, so don't be discouraged. Put them out there, go for it. You never know what can happen when you take that chance. So we're going to take one more final pause here, and then we're going to get ready to wrap up the show for tonight. We're so glad you guys are here. Again, this is always a lot of fun.
Also,
yes,
manage your money. That's the biggest. One of the biggest.
Yes, we're going to actually.
People.
Yep, we're going to talk about that last. We're going to use that as our final thoughts when we wrap up. We'll cover that too. That's another great point that Fire brings up there. We want to mention that. That's the biggest thing next. That's very important. So. We'll come back, we'll take this last break, and we'll wrap up for the night talking a little bit about that and give you some insights there. So stick around. You don't want to miss this. This could be really important for a lot of you. So come on back. You don't want to miss out on that. We'll finish that up and wrap things up for the night. We are really glad you guys are here. Love hanging out with you for the weekend. Can't wait to get back to it tomorrow. Again, check out all great content we have at the studio. All kinds of different show episodes are up. Pick your favorite. Listen to them all at your own convenience and leisure. Find what works for you. They're there for your entertainment at any point in time. Check them out. We love making them for you guys. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for more Don't go away. You don't want to miss what's coming up next. As always, stay tuned. We'll see you in a minute. Hang back. Thank you so much.
Are you enjoying the show? Do you want even more great content? Then check out the What's Up Bro podcast show's link tree for all studio accounts, including the official show website, brought to you by J&J Production Studios. Catch all your favorite episodes of the show when they're uploaded. Curious to know who makes the show possible? Meet the cast and crew. Discover the magic behind the microphone, not just in front with our staff bios. Want to chat with other audience fans? Enter the forums section. Talk, engage, and interact with listeners from all over the globe. Not on social media and want the latest information? Then subscribe to the podcast newsletter and get everything delivered straight to your inbox. No matter what, you'll always stay connected. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more.
We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So glad you hung in there, rather, if I can get my pronouns correct. That you listen to the show. We're so grateful you're here. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the What's Up Bro podcast show, brought to you by J&J Production Studios. We are going to get ready to wrap up here with some final thoughts. So before the break, we're going to let Fire go first because he brought up a good point here. So tell us, Fire, again, you made the comment about it's important to manage your money. So tell everybody, what do you mean and why?
Because you never know, like, any expense that might come, like your car breaks down, like, injured, or happens at work that causes injury.
Mm-hmm.
You need that little cash inside to help get you through it.
Yep.
To the point where I can get back and beat.
Mm-hmm.
So I was gone. It's like a little portion of your check here and there goes here.
Yep.
It's a different amount.
Yp. For
But
sure.
a little bit to the side works enough, you know.
Yeah.
You can still get through.
Exactly.
But that little cash aside, yes, I know it's tempting and yada yada. You gotta get it. You get the.
Oh yeah.
This is like more of like an emergency. Say like you take 40 certain at that time.
Right.
And say, well, you have to get your engine cost this, but say you had that amount saved aside and it fixes that so it doesn't interfere much with your daily life.
Right. Yeah.
Or
No.
long term wise.
Exactly. Yeah. No. That's a great way, and I couldn't say it better myself. I echo that. You know, that's especially when you're, you know, for lack of a better term too, right? But it's really appropriate, as when you say when you're just starting out there. You know, it's important that I tell anybody that. I said this recently too. You know, when you're younger coming out, and yes, it's always tempting. We all want to buy stuff, and we can at some points. You know, that's not saying you shouldn't, but it's also very important to make sure that you do manage that and your finances there, because that not only just at the start of everything, but when you continue through life and as you get, you know, obviously, like I said, I'm a lot older than Fire is, but when you start to get older, like you really see the benefits of doing that. And that's one thing I always say. If I could go back in time and tell my younger self that, I'd say make sure you save as much as you can, especially in this day and age. You know, we said this at the start. It's a very hard world out there. Things are tough. If you live in this country, in the United States, you know exactly what we're talking about, no matter what part of the country you're at. We all feel that. So this is prevalent to where a good time, and again, it can be very beneficial and worthwhile if you save that. Sometimes you can make it a lot better when you do that. Not everybody does that. And again, you all can do as you please there too. We're not saying that, you know, you have to follow this. It's just our best advice as far as what we've learned and experienced, and that can be make or break for a lot of people. So really look at that. I've had that discussion, even not with young people, with older people, you know, especially like if they're retired on Social Security. You know, always important to make sure that you balance that out and budget that out. Anybody can make it with that. I mean, if you tweak it right, and the old saying is you can stretch your dollar as far as it'll go, and you know, it might be tight sometimes. A lot of people, you guys probably fit in this category, live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it's just the way the world works nowadays. So with that being the case and that being said, that's why it's very crucial and very key that you utilize some of those techniques to save money there, because as you know, Fire said, in a rainy day situation comes up there, it's better to have that than not have it and be stuck and figure out what to do next, right? So that's really the biggest key point that we want to emphasize there. That kind of goes with all that aspects, everything else we talked about so far tonight. That's a crowning point of what's very, very important. So, you know, take time, reflect on that, write some things down, even write yourself a note out there and look at it on paper. You know, think about these things, sort of just give yourself that inspiration and say, what can I do better here? How can I work at this? And, you know, that sort of detail. Get that figured out. That might help you put some better perspective on things and ultimately could save you a lot in the long run. So we do hope a lot of these tips have helped you guys. You know, we'll probably talk some more about that tomorrow. We're going to have Haas on back with us, and maybe we'll play a game or two tomorrow. We'll see how the night goes. But we're really hopeful that this will help you guys out. Any means, you guys always can comment, leave us notes or suggestions, write us, send us an email at j_jproductionstudios@yahoo.com. We'll answer emails. If you guys have questions there, we'd love to help you out. So don't be afraid to do that. But you know, there's just some examples of many that we could go on and on about. But you know, I think it's a great core way to discuss this and really get some perspective there, and you know, maybe make you think about things you haven't thought about before. So we hope you'll take those, you'll run with those, and again, it's just personal experiences, but we're all kind of in the same boat. So it should have some effect and be able to help you in some way, shape, or form. If not everything, You should take at least one thing away from that. So we hope that you did that tonight. So with that being the case there, we are going to bid you all adieu. We're going to say goodnight. Until tomorrow night, we'll be back for more. Hope you guys will tune in. As always, we're going to throw it to Mr. Fire this time because Hoss isn't here. So Mr. Fire will say goodnight to the folks and then tell them what we always say.
Good night, everybody. Be safe. Don't drink and drive because that is put many lives in danger.
Exactly.
Make sure you get a ride home. Make sure you have somebody you have a plan prepared.
Yep.
Be safe.
Always important. Couldn't say it better. That's always our mantra and our motto there. We want you guys to have a fun-filled weekend, but be safe because we want you to come back and listen to more excitement. So have a good night, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow night. Same time, same channel, same great content as always. Moving on forward. Can't wait to see what we got going there. Are you curious? Just going to have to come back and tune in for more. We hope you guys will. We love and appreciate all your support. And of course, as always, we'll see you next time at the show.
Thank you for listening to the What's Up Bro show. Catch all the latest live action on your favorite podcast streaming services, including Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. You can also check out episodes on the studio's official YouTube channel. Subscribe and become a member today. Don't forget to also turn on notifications so you'll know when new content is uploaded. Stay tuned and don't miss a single moment. We love and appreciate all your support. And as always, we will see you at the show.